Hi, this is Chuck Waldrop from Oklahoma City. I'm shooting a little video today of November 5409 Delta, which is an H35 Bonanza. It's a 1957 model. Pretty clean little airframe. I'm going to take some pictures and shoot some video. It has the IO470N engine conversion. It was done in 1980 by Lou Stallings in Tulsa, and Burl DeShannon now owns that STC from Lou Stallings. It has the two-blade Macaulay propeller. It was overhauled about 3 years ago. Probably has about, I'm guessing, maybe a couple hundred hours on the overhaul. Pretty nice shaped propeller. It has the polished spinner, which I had polished. The nose gear, last year, I believe it was last year, we pulled all that out and rebushed it, rebuilt it, and put it all back in. It showed up on the Bonanza clinic. It'd be having a little bit of extra play in it. Had a little bit of a slight shimmy, so mechanic here in Oklahoma City, Wildrop Post Aviation, they pulled it out there and rebushed everything in it, put it back in really nice shape. Really rolls out really nice now. The gill doors got the modified Zeus fasteners in those, the quick fasteners. The engine is, it's got about 1,100 and something hours since major, but the cylinders have got only about 800, a little less than 800 hours on those. So they were Continental new cylinders at overhaul, which were pulled out at 400 hours and sent to ECI for chrome rebuild. So got some really nice cylinders, has really good compression and using the oil, just really smooth running little engine. The glass has all been replaced since I've owned the airplane. I've owned this airplane since 2006. So replaced everything except the windshield. The windshield was put in prior to that. That's the heavy 3/8 windshield, the slope speed windshield, and it's still in pretty nice condition. Sheet metal is in good shape. Might be a little hail ding or two on it, but not many. Now let's see, 2 years ago, I had the Burl DeShannon 20-gallon tip tanks put on. Took it up to Minnesota. Had Scott put those on in his shop up in Buffalo, Minnesota. And they really do add to the range on this airplane. It goes from being a 60-gallon airplane to a 100-gallon airplane. A real nice job. They don't have, they've got the pumps in the wheel wells, so you're just carrying around an extra 40 gallons of fuel. You just pump it in as you need it into your main tanks, and works very well. I really have enjoyed that. Made a real long-range airplane out of it. I had this airplane completely stripped and repainted in 2008 over in Mena, Arkansas. They did a nice job on it. You know, they checked all the sheet metal, checked the controls, and anodized everything. So corrosion-wise, it's just in really good shape. It does have the flat blade antennas on it and the Walker air skeg that kind of keeps her tracking pretty well in the tail waggle. That with the tip tanks additionally make it really very straightforward airplane. The tail feathers, they were redone in 2005 by the previous owner. So got pretty youthful tail feathers on it for a Bonanza. Most of these old Bonanzas are ready for tail feathers. So anyway, this one's in good shape. All the sheet metal, the controls, flies out straight and level, hands off. It trims out very nicely. Just get a little shot of everything. Here's the, it's got the small baggage door, holds plenty of luggage. It comes with a Bruce's cover and plugs, and that's what's in the case there. So, you know, a few times I've left it out on the ramp overnight. I just put the old cover on it and stays just fine. Does have the what do you call it? The retractable step. Pull the gear up, the step comes up, and you get a few extra knots there. Just going along the sheet metal side here, it's all pretty neat and clean. And she flies out crisp and very nice. This is the other tip tank. Had the tips painted to match the paint scheme. My daughter-in-law designed the little tip paint scheme, which I thought she did a nice job on that. Anyway, these are nice little old tanks. They have sight gauges in them, so you can see them from the cockpit how much fuel you got in the tank. Don't have any interior gauges, just the sight gauges from the exterior. Okay, that's about it here. I'm not going to open the engine cowl for this. Just have to do this kind of one-handed. So go around and get inside the airplane. Show you a little bit about the panel, other features of the aircraft. This aircraft was owned by a guy from Albuquerque. Bought it in the early 70s and took pretty good care of it. He was an old aeronautical engineer, McDonnell Douglas guy, World War II pilot. Took pretty good care of the airplane. He's the one that put the updated engine in it, the Lou Stallings IO470N. I had this door, the hinges reworked by Jim Klug. He drilled out and redid the hinges. Had the door locks reworked by a guy in Camarillo named John, Camarillo Aircraft, who's kind of a Bonanza door expert. So door works great, seal works great, windows all seal good, pretty quiet cockpit. Okay, inside, you're going to start right to left here. Got the switches for the tip tanks pumps to pump the fuel, and got the vacuum gauge, RPM, manifold pressure gauge, and rate of climb. Got the F5 fuel gauge from EI. It's a fuel totalizer. You can really keep track of your fuel with that thing. And here is a three-way gauge of EGT, OAT, CHT, single point and number 2 cylinder. The cylinder temps run maybe 320, about as warm as you'll ever see them in this airplane. All of the rocker switches work, down on piano keys. Nothing broken on the handles, the heater and the brake work. Glove box, everything's fine there. All the temp gauges work and work correctly. Altimeter, attitude indicator, airspeed indicator has been reworked. All the gauges have been reworked, redone since I've owned the airplane. So everything in the panel is like a new airplane. You've got the digital clock, your 2 VOR gauges, the 106 for the Garmin, radio wide. I'm going to swing this yoke over here and kind of get it out of the way. Pardon me. Okay, here in the panel, start off on the top, you got the Garmin WAS 430 sitting on top of Garmin 340 audio panel, the KX155 the second radio, the N5409D DME, and the Garmin 327 transponder, all on a left-hand stack. Works real well. Here you have the autopilot on and off switch, and you can switch your autopilot from nav 1 to nav 2. So in addition to that, this airplane has the GPS-S system, the S-Tech GPS-S system, which is tied to the W430 and tied to the S-Tech autopilot, the S-Tech 30-30, which is the altitude hold. So this talks to the 430 and talks to the switch for the GPS-S. It'll do, punch it and go. It'll do the approaches, do the holds, fly you inbound. The GPSS will get you on the glide slope or the LPV. Then the altitude hold is not coupled. You have to release the altitude and set your sync rate up to come on down the glide slope. Works very well for an ILS approaches, LPV approaches. Works good. Here's the lower avionics bus panel, avionics switching panel. Got the avionics master switch, and your fuses for the avionics. Cowl flap's been switched over, has the metal pull on it. See, those are broken. The lights on the panel all have the wedge lights behind the instruments for night flight. Works very well. Okay, that's about the panel. It does have rose and visors in it. I'm going to swing around and kind of shoot the inside view of the tip from the pilot seat there. And it's got a new leather interior. It's new. I still call it new. It's like new. It's 2011 put in, but it's very nice condition. They did the headliner and painted all the metals. It's pretty slick. It gives good quality leather. Put some nice patterns in there. Nice carpets. So it's just a really nice, clean airplane. It has 4-place intercom to the Garmin 340 audio panel. Back there on the back, behind the license, that removable panel, you have a ski tube there, so you can carry skis in there, or possibly, some people say they carry fishing poles in there. And in addition to that, this airplane has the V35B ventilation system in it, so you know, you can move the air through here pretty well. On hot days, I just simply taxi about with both these windows open. You got windows on both doors. They're the heavy windows as well, and or with the door ajar till you take off and you cool down immediately. So has no auto trim on it. It's just a hand trim, which is kind of the way I like to fly anyway. Single yoke, has a small ram's horn. I always kind of like the small ram's horn because it just doesn't clutter your view of some of your instruments and stuff. So that's something that's sort of a personal preference. I'm going to swing this yoke back over and kind of show you the way I use my. I run it in this position here, and I have the little pad up here for my mini iPad. So I put my little iPad up there, booted up with the Stratus, so you got en route weather, you got it right there in front of you. So pretty cool avionics that are available these days. I think that's about it. I'm sure I've forgotten things. There's a lot of little mods done to the airplane over time. It's been very well cared for. When I bought it, it was in very nice condition. It's never been a hangar queen. It's always been a used airplane. So when I bought it, it needed a few things done to it, but nothing major. The engine, it's a very good engine, still is. And the paint was a little bit needing a paint job, and the interior was a little bit so-so. So paint and interior, and a few radio updates, and got a really nice airplane. And it's a good little fast cruiser, about 12.3 gallons with 65% power. And that'll get you 164 knots all day long. So very good little cruiser. You can take that 100 gallons of fuel and just load it up and put that weather on your iPad. And if you got weather out there, you just got plenty of fuel. Just do the long way around it and just keep on going. So, this is Chuck Waldrop from Oklahoma City, signing off with November 5409 Delta.